Oh, we're live. Wow, that
We
was a lot
do.
faster than I expected. Cool. What is up, everybody? How is it going? Austin Prechtelevate Performance coming at you live. Happy Monday, everybody. First Monday of the new year. And I am joined today by my badass client, Erin. Say hi, Erin. Say hi. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Cool. So, as you are all tuning in, make sure to tell us how your day is going. If you got some cool goals for 2022, feel free to share them. But we're going to get things kicked off here in just a second. And if you're watching at a later time, hashtag replay. Don't forget to hit the like. Kira dropped a comment saying already, woohoo, I made it to the live. Hey, Erin. So let's go. Cool. But yeah, guys, so I'm joined with my Brandy's here too, man. We got people joining in already. Let's go. So as you guys are tuning in, like I said, I'm joined by my awesome client, Erin. If you guys didn't see from the title, she's a mom of three. You just started at the end of November, early December, right?
I think it was with the
Black
Christmas.
Friday.
Yeah.
In the chat. Yep. That's right. So let's go ahead and jump into things. Let's give the audience a bit of a backstory on who you are. You know, how old are you? What do you do for work? Like where you're from? Let's just tell people about Erin.
Right. I live in Michigan. I'm a mom of three. I'm 34. Let's see, for work, I'm mainly a stay-at-home mom, but I also instruct cardio drumming, and I have a hobby farm.
Very cool. Yeah, you were just telling me about how before we went live, you were telling me about how you just finished rolling a giant hay bale down to your goats, and I was like that's a workout right there. I was like, wait, that's way to be active. That's like the farmer equivalent to, I guess, like tractor tires are what they flip to. So I guess I don't know. They're both the farm equivalent of doing one or the other.
So the small town where I went to high school, they have hay days, and it's this festival. It's all weekend, and one of the big events is rolling hay bales down Main Street in a race. So yeah,
that is small town is Michigan technically part of the Midwest? I'm from Indiana originally, so yeah. What part of the mitten are you on?
I'm right now near Lansing, so like the bottom,
cool.
Like the middle of the bottom, kind of north south. And then the small town where I went to high school is up in the Upper Peninsula.
Cool.
So it's not on the mitten.
Were you a Youper?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I know what that is because I lived up in Iron River, I think. Up there for a summer for schooling stuff. So that's cool. Awesome. Very cool. So so you're a mom of three. How old are your kids?
My oldest is 12.
Okay.
And then I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Oh, heck yeah. That's awesome. Very cool. And for them, in terms of like, you know, we could talk about this here in a little bit, but you know, for you with your journey, like it's one of those things, like being a parent and being on a fitness journey, it adds a dimension to things. It makes it, like, in your opinion, how do you feel like finding the balance between like parenthood and your own, like, you know, health and fitness and things like that? How do you manage that in a sense?
It's been hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
But like I've been teaching cardio drumming since my youngest was a year old. And so like we've worked that into daily routines, and they're used to me working out. And my son, my youngest right now, he goes, I'm going to work out with you, Mom. We're going to work out together. I'm like, it's push day, or let's do it. I'm like, okay, come on.
That's awesome. And see, like, and you're making an impact, you know, you're being like that role model for them, and being like, fitness is this fun thing that just like that mom does. Like, that's just like part of it. And you're like ingraining that and making that part of your like not only your routine, but like your family routine. And like some of those things, whenever a lot of people, a lot of parents don't realize this, is like when we start taking care of ourselves, or when we start making our own health and fitness a priority, our kids see that and they pick up on that, and they're like, man, like that's just the norm. Like that, like taking care of myself and being healthy or working out, like that's just like a norm. And that was something that that not a lot of kids have growing up, or maybe not a lot of us had growing up. I was fortunate in the sense that like my dad was really into like bodybuilding. My dad was really into like, you know, working out when I was a kid. I remember this is a weird, like a little offshoot memory, but like, I remember I had like a golf ball that I would like put into his weight bench, and it would like, obviously it wasn't good because it would mess it up. But every once in a while he'd take it apart and like 5 golf balls would fall out of it. But just like little memories like that stick with you for your whole life. And just like being like, oh, like, you know, my parent works out. Like, you know, I want to do that too. And they like were a role model for us. And you're doing that for your kid right now. And same with a lot of the other parents that are in the community. And it's such a cool thing. So cool. So let's get back on track here for a second. I got us on a tangent. So before you and I worked together, what was your biggest struggle in your fitness journey? Kind of like give us a little bit of a background as to why you know, we started working together, I guess.
So we started working together because in 2020 my back and my hips went out, and I was basically immobilized for 6 months. After, like, I could go take the kids to the zoo, maybe, instead of being able to fit in a couple of different activities a day, it was an activity a week. And then I'd still have to go to the chiropractor twice a week just to not be in as much pain.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was awful. It was the worst thing ever.
Yeah. And so you're like really sedentary during that period of time. And
I wasn't able to cardio drum. I wasn't able to go on tons of walks like we had been doing. I love riding bicycles. We usually ride bicycles like 10 miles is a short ride. So like you're active, and I couldn't do anything. Like I could barely walk to the kitchen. I was terrified I was going to fall because I couldn't feel one of my legs.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And then we figured it out with the chiropractor. He found a new technique. And I stopped having pain in like end of December, beginning of January, 2021. Yeah. And then I heard about you because of Leah and her whole journey, which is epic. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so like I bought the tank top through the fundraiser.
Oh yeah.
For her and all that.
That's right. That's crazy.
Right. That's and then cool. Like this fall, like I was trying to get back into my workouts, trying to do all the stuff that I had been doing before. And like, I just felt stuck. Nothing was working. The mindset wasn't there. Yeah. And then you had the Black Friday deal, and I'm like, can this be my Christmas present? Yeah. And it was.
Absolutely. That's so cool. That's so awesome. And like just going back, and it's really cool how, you know, over time, like, you know, like learning about different, like, because it's always cool to like learn how, you know, we kind of actually initially like, because I'm gonna be honest, I forgot that you bought that shirt, and now whenever you remind me, I was like, oh shit, that's right. Like, and it's just so cool to just see how we all can like how we're so connected, everybody in a lot of ways. Like, and I've said this on other lives too, and like the only reason I met Leah was through one of my previous clients, Amanda, and I only met Amanda because we were both a part of this random like gym meme posting like Facebook group that I joined when I was in college, and she just happened to see one of my posts. And so like a lot of all this like stuff, like it's just really cool how being online and like the internet and like social media and like forming these communities can connect people in so many different ways. And so and that's super cool. And so I want to touch on something. So like, you know, whenever you were injured or recovering from your injuries, like what were some of the things like feelings that were kind of going through whenever you couldn't do a lot of the things that you used to be able to do? Because like I know a lot of people that watch our lives either, you know, through like you know, postpartum, from pregnancy, or from, you know, other injuries that occur. Like, you know, I've in my past, like I've been injured a handful of times where it was just like I can't do shit, like, and it makes you feel kind of powerless in a sense. And so like it's almost like you lose part of your identity because it's like something that you love to do. Like for instance, like you were saying, like being able to go on bike rides or being able to cardio drum. And it's just like having that kind of taken away, it can be really tough. And so what were some of the things that, or what would you say to somebody who's going through something like that right now? And is maybe getting back into their stride? Like, what would you tell them, like, you know, easing back into their own journey?
It's okay to start out slow. Like just meet yourself where you are.
So smart.
Yeah, because if I would have tried like even lifting the 10 pounds that I'm able to do right now for all of my workouts, it would have set me way back. And so like take the small step, even if the small step is not working out, but just eating the right foods.
Yep.
Just
absolutely.
Those different small steps, they all add up.
They really do. They really do. And I think another thing too, like just like patience with yourself, like being nice to yourself, because being injured sucks. Being injured is hard. Being injured is not only physically difficult, it is also very mentally and emotionally difficult. And I think,
it is.
And everybody at some point or another is probably like maybe not had as an extreme injury as we have had in the past, but like, it's one of those things. It's like, it can make you feel like you've been set back a lot. And it's one of those things. It's like, I mean, the shit has happened at this point. And if I could tell anybody like who's going through an injury or a rough patch right now, it's like, I mean, it's happening whether you like it or not. So you may as well like try and start to like shift your perspective to like being a more positive one. It's easier than said and done sometimes. But at the end of the day, if somebody's going through it right now, I feel like that's something that I wish somebody would have told me whenever I was like, struggling with that stuff. But yeah, no, and I'm super, super excited that you've come to this place now. You're at this point now where you are able to do these things and you are able to, like to train. And it's just, it's really cool. And you have been kicking ass since we started. So let's talk about that for a second. So like, when you and I first met, like kind of what would you say was like your initial hesitation to working together?
I don't feel like I was super hesitant. I was excited to try something new.
Yeah. You were pretty gung-ho. You're like,
I got this. I just need this kick in the ass to keep going, and let's do it.
Absolutely. And so for you, like because from just kind of like knowing you and everything, it's like it feels like you're a pretty like, like independent person, like a pretty just like you're a go-getter. Like you're somebody that's like, that will probably try to do something on their own and a bunch until they get it. Like, so for you, like, how was kind of like the transition from kind of doing it on your own to investing in something or investing in yourself in a sense? Like, how did that kind of feel? Or what was that kind of like shift, I guess?
I guess it was shifting back into a student, like a learner role.
Yes.
And I don't mind, like I enjoy learning. So
that's so good too. Yeah, that's like, awesome. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, just being able to switch gears like that.
Yeah. And something for those that are watching right now, like if you like one key takeaway, one key characteristic that my most successful clients have, and Erin, you have been an extremely successful client thus far. I just gotta call it as it is. Like, you have been extremely successful. And so is to be a student, like always be learning, like always be somebody who is receptive to either like, wanting to learn more, or is able to take like feedback and apply it and implement it, because that's something that like even me running my coaching business and like working with like 50 plus people now, it's like I'm always trying to learn. It's always trying to like learn and always trying to like be your best self and never think that, because if this is my mentality, is if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Like you should be in a room where you're learning things. And so I love that you said shifting from that like that like teacher to student, because you are a teacher in your cardio drumming and things like that.
Yep. So, I teach the kids too.
Yeah. That too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we could talk about that here in a second, but just like, so like, we've been working together, well, honestly, for maybe just a little over a month now, right?
Yeah.
Just a little over a month now. And so for you, what sort of results have we been able to accomplish together, whether that be like physically or mentally, or
it's been physical and mental and scale and everything. So I'm a lot stronger.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
I'm a lot stronger. I'm really enjoying it. I strengthened my back muscles. So I went to the chiropractor, I want to say like the beginning of December, and then I went again today. And he's excited that my goal is to come in for maintenance and maybe come in like once a month versus twice a week, like I had been.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
Right. Yeah. And then mental, I'm a lot more positive. I feel a lot better about myself. I feel like when my kids are in a bad mood, I can handle it because I'm in just a general better mindset.
Yeah.
And that's I'm awesome. With my kids all the time. So
yeah, that's amazing. That's one of those things that's like, because your cup is more filled now.
It is.
Like you were taking the time to fill your own cup and to give yourself that self-care. And that's something too I've noticed, like, which is having like a routine or like a morning routine and having my gym time and things like that. Whenever I have those things, and when a lot of the other parents in the community have those things too, it's just like, man, you're like mentally tougher. You have more, you have like more to pour from your cup to like handle,
right?
Like, because kids are kids. Like, kids are going to be stressful sometimes. They're going to be mean sometimes for no reason. They're going to be like, that's just parenting sometimes. And coming from a place of like abundance to handle those things.
Yep.
So it feels so much better. And we're way more capable to handle it because we're not pouring from that empty cup. We're not running.
Right.
We're not like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I love that. And so, that's so cool. And then in terms of like, you know, in terms of like the community and things like that, how would you like describe the community, or how, because you're super active in the community, like you're very active, like in it, you're in the group chat and then in the group and like posting things and like you tagged me in a post the other day. It was like of the beanie that you had on, like walking stuff. So let's talk about the community a little bit. Like what's your opinion on it, or how would you describe it if you had to?
It's a positive community. It's a very supportive community, and I've noticed no matter what community you're in, you get more out of it if you are active.
That's true.
So I'm just trying to put back in the positivity that I've been getting.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. Like,
absolutely. It's like a bank. It's kind of like a bank. I like to try to view life as like a bank. Like the more you give, the more you get. And so, and being able to like, the more that you can like deposit now, you're going to get it back in one way or another. And so it's just like, why not just be as positive as possible? Why not just like, you know, cheer other people on, because there's going to be a time whenever, you know, because somebody might be struggling right now and you're cheering them on, but guess what? Like, you know, in a couple weeks or like in a month, like you might be struggling and then they're going to give back. And then
exactly. Everybody has bad days and it's helpful on those bad days to have the positive people pouring into you.
Absolutely.
And then you pour back and it's this whole circle.
I love that. Yeah. I think there's like a term, it's like called like the law of reciprocity. It's like, if you, no, I love that. So let's talk about, because you mentioned biking earlier, about loving to bike, and one of your goals for 2022, I know, involves biking. And so let's talk about, because we just did something last week that not a lot of people probably know about in public, in terms of the vision board party that we did for the private group, which you attended and you were there for it and everything. Like, what would you say is like the importance of having a vision board, or like setting a vision for the new year? Because a lot of people right now probably are going to go into their 2022 kind of aimlessly, or maybe even their fitness journey a little aimlessly. Like, what would you say is like the benefit of that, or you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So having the physical written down or pictures, that helps you solidify your goals versus just kind of floaty, you know. And I mean, I've got some goals that are kind of floaty that I'm like, you know, if it happens this year, it happens. But I've got goals that I really want to do now.
Absolutely.
And so those are the ones that I wrote down and I put pictures on, and I put all the stuff on my board. And so I'm setting my mind for this year to be a great year.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Seeing that board and seeing all these great things that I'm gonna do is gonna help with that positive mindset too.
Yep, absolutely. And what it does is it's almost like you create this like physical manifestation of your goals, and then you see it every day. You don't have to, because oftentimes when we have a goal or we think about something that we'd like to do, it's like we think about it, and then that thought might stay there for a little bit, and then it goes away, and then we might think about it again in a couple weeks, and then like it might go away again, and like and it makes it hard to like have that clarity on or that in that certainty in what you're doing, because laying it all out there, you can see it. And if you put it somewhere too, where you might see it every day, it's like you're reminded by it every day. And so therefore on a daily basis, you're constantly being Kira commented, I love everyone's vision boards. Yeah. Like you guys made some good ones too. You made some good ones there. There
are a lot of really good ones.
Yeah. Even with the printer, even with my
printer that didn't work and decided to print everything in pink.
Yeah. But it ended up going super well. And I feel like because of that, like, I honestly feel like, if we put it on our vision boards, like it's like a million times more likely to actually happen, because we're like setting that intention for our year. And so I feel like you're going to have a kick-ass 2022. It's going to be huge. Like it's going to be awesome. And so right now, like in terms of your own progress and things like that in the program so far, like outside of like the fitness side of things, like what would you say has been like the biggest change in your life, whether that be like with your family now, like getting to go on like walks and things like that and being active, or like, with like relationships and things like that? Like, how do you feel like this, how do you feel like things have changed?
I feel like I'm able to enjoy like my family more. That whole filling in my bucket, my cup, and then I'm able to give back to them. Like yesterday I took the kids. I mean, we live on a hill. So, but we all went outside and we went sledding, and I wasn't worried that I was going to get hurt like I was last year, because I didn't want to do anything last winter when I was having a good day, because I didn't want to throw everything out. Now I'm like, I can go sledding. And so we all went sledding and went up and down that hill multiple times. And
that's so cool.
It was fun. It was so much fun.
That's awesome. And it's one of those things too. It's like when people feel like, because again, as parents, a lot of times parents feel kind of like selfish for taking time to themselves, or taking that time for their self-care and really like, doing something for themselves. But when we take care of ourselves, or we take care of our health, or we carve out that time for our workouts and for our nutrition and things like that, like it's not just for us. Like, yes, it is for us and it helps us, but it helps us be better versions of ourselves. And not only we're not the only ones who get to enjoy that. Like our parents, our as parents, like our kids get to enjoy that. Our spouses get to enjoy that. The other people, our friends, our other family members, people in our lives. Like when we level ourselves up, like we're helping other people in a lot of ways, in more ways than one. And like, like because you decided to take care of your own health and your own fitness, like you were able to have an awesome freaking day with your kids going sledding the other day. Like, who knows? I mean, who knows if that would have happened or not, or at least at that like quality or that level, if you didn't take the time to be like, I want to take care of myself and I want to fill my cup up. And so, like, I just think that's just such a cool thing, and it's a concept that I just really wish a lot of parents could hear that or feel that, or like get that, like, because there is that like a hesitation a lot of times, because they put themselves.
There is. I know. I was really hesitant way back when my youngest was a year old, before I started cardio drumming, because I didn't want to take away from my kids. I was worried I was going to take away from them.
Yeah.
But becoming more active has really allowed me to fill up their cups more too.
Yep. It's that whole like it's that selflessly selfish like concept. Where you can just like take that time to yourself to give some time to yourself, so that way you can give more time later on to other people, and more quality time, right? Like it's not, it's like being able to be like that quality time parent more than just like quantity time in a sense, so that's awesome. I love that. And so I have one last question for you. And so for anyone that is listening right now to this and like thinking about starting their own journey, it's the new year, new me, tons of people. Like I went to the gym yesterday. It was packed. There's tons of people everywhere, like trying to start a journey of their own. Even if it's from at home and they're wanting to start their own fitness journey though for themselves, like what would you say to them? Like what would you tell them like in terms of like, going for it or not?
Take that step.
Yeah.
Show up for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're worth it. Ultimately, you're worth it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Awesome. Thank you, Erin. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on today. Erin, mom of 3, like crushing, like kicking ass, like honestly, because like it's crazy. Like the progress that you've made since December has been just honestly like it's super inspiring. It just goes to show it's truly possible whenever you like, set the tone and make your own health and fitness a priority. And I think that I think a lot of people would benefit having, more of that mentality that you have coming into their own journey. So yeah, other than that, appreciate you for coming on here. I'll let everybody go. I'll let you go. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you're watching this later time, #replay. Feel free to give this video a like if you like what Erin had to say today, or if you liked what I had to say today. And yeah, other than that, feel free to you have any last words or any gold nuggets or anything like that? Are you good to go?
I think we're good.
Good. Let's knock it out. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you later.